Hello everyone, I'm here with another story for you from Miracles Do Happen book from Guidepost. These are true stories that people send in. Pen's crooked. This one is called A Merciful Vision by Tina Samples.
Who?
Tina Samples.
Tina Samples?
Yes.
Who?
Tina!
Oh, Tina.
My heart stirred, and I knew what that meant. Over the years, I'd struggled to learn the differences in my steerings. I dropped the laundry basket and fell to my knees to enter my prayer room. My emotions rumbled alongside the dryer. I buried my nose in the musty orange carpet. The carpet I always hated now became my altar. I had learned that when God calls us into prayer, we get to decide whether to accept the calling or turn away from His nudging. I accepted. Over the years and during prayer, the Lord began pulling back a curtain in order for me to see into the spiritual world. In these prayer visions, God sometimes revealed what had happened in the past, what was happening in the present, and what would happen in the future. So I prayed. The words flowed from my lips, and a curtain unfolded. I saw a room with a hospital bed. I saw the person's body tucked into the covers, but could not see the head of the person. I saw 4 people standing at the foot of the bed. God did not reveal who they were. I saw the doctor enter the room and say, "I'm sorry." I heard the Lord ask me to tell my husband that one of his parents were going to die. I stopped praying and wept for a long while. At some point I asked, "Why, Lord, why?" The Lord said, "Because I want him to be prepared." "I can't do it, Lord, I can't. He'll think I'm crazy." I was a complete mess. How could I walk out of the room, swollen eyes, face smudged in mascara, and tell my husband that he was about to lose a parent? He already thought I was mad. I always thought it odd that when the calling to prayer or the assignment was complete, my tears stopped abruptly. It was done, over, finished, like the water from a faucet being shut off. I dried my eyes and approached my husband. He asked if I was okay. I told him that I had been praying. I sat silent for several moments. "I can't do it, Lord." "What's wrong?" he asked. I opened my mouth and the words rolled out, starting with, "David, I'm sorry." Afterward, he didn't say a word. He looked at me as if I to say okay, but nothing more. Over the next few weeks, I questioned God. God reminded me of a few dreams I had had before this prayer time. I dream of strange things involving my husband's parents. In one dream, my father-in-law held the reins of a white horse without anyone sitting on it. The last dream I had involved my husband and me in a large city. We crossed 4 lanes of traffic and drove through a beautiful green field that led to a small cabin. When we arrived at the cabin, I noticed my father-in-law in a rocking chair on the front porch. We exited the car and walked into the cabin. My mother-in-law sat at a small wooden table, her face exuberant, a crown on her head. At one point, she thrust her hand forward to reveal a beautiful ruby on her finger. It was stunning. She was stunning. She looked so happy. After I shared that dream with my husband, it still didn't occur to me which parent might die. A month later, David and I were scheduled to take a cruise for our 20th wedding anniversary. My brother lived in Galveston, so we went a day early to spend time with him and his family. We had just arrived back at his home from fishing and were excited about boarding the ship the next morning when my husband's phone rang. With the phone pressed to his ear, his shoulders shuddered and he paced the floor. He shook and looked as if his entire body might explode. The call was from his father, telling them that his mother had a massive heart attack and did not make it. His parents had been at our house staying with our children. She'd had the heart attack at our house and in front of the kids. That was it. There we were, being driven on 4 lanes of traffic through Houston to catch a flight back to Colorado. And though the Lord tried preparing us, nothing truly does. The sudden death of a loved one is traumatic. After everything calmed down, my father-in-law Ted told us what had happened. He said that after the heart attack, while Mona was being taken to the catheterization lab, her heart stopped. They put her in a room and allowed Ted to say goodbye. He said 3 men from our church went in with him. Those were the 4 men God showed me standing at the foot of her bed. I look back on the moment and still get weepy. Not only because of the loss, but also because we have a God who loves us enough to prepare us for tragic moments. And though sometimes we do not feel God is near, we can rest assured that His love never fails. That is so true, guys. And we can never escape from His presence, whether we see Him or not. Amen. God needed to prepare David. He comforts the brokenhearted and heals their wounds. He hurts with us, feels our pain, and understands our suffering. God watches over us. Is it a miracle that God reveals Himself to us? Or is the miracle in the way He chooses to do it? We all took Mona's death hard, but it took David a while to come to terms with his feelings. He never cried at his mother's funeral, but a year or so later, while he was attending another woman's service, tears spilled from his broken heart, and they did not stop for a long while. We later spoke about my dream, and especially the one where we had seen his mother in the tiny cabin. I still didn't understand who it was going to be, I said. I knew right then, he said. God had opened my husband's eyes and kept mine in the dark. I looked back on the dream and realized how obvious it was that David's mother would be the one God took home. The vision wasn't for me, it was for David. I simply accepted the call to pray. I was just the messenger, nothing more. That was a sad one, wasn't it? But it's so true. I believe God tells us stuff, and we just got to learn to listen. You got to learn the difference between God and the devil when they're trying to tell you stuff. Always remember that if you're having stuff in your mind telling you to do bad things, that's Satan. Because he wants you to do bad things. He wants you on his side. But you hear somebody telling you to do good things and talking to you about good things, you know that's God. Because God is all good. He don't do bad. Satan is evil. He does bad. And God can give us visions and things like that. Many people will tell you what's happened to them. Many people will tell you they've died and went to heaven and came back and tell about it. And I 100% truly believe that as well. So the next story I'm going to read is A Glimpse of Heaven. We'll see how that goes. So I hope you guys enjoyed this story.